Hey friends, I am live on Facebook and it's a little terrifying, but I am excited to be live to start a conversation. And I'm going to pause and just say, for folks who don't know, I'm Sean. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And I woke up this morning, and maybe some of y'all do this too, but I woke up and the first thing I did was grab my phone and start scrolling. And being the person I am, the work that I do, being involved with Trans Plus, a lot of what I see is from other trans creators, organizers, people from around the country and around the world. And I was on Instagram and I saw the news about Texas. And I was mad. I was really mad. It's a horrible way to start the day, with just crappy news. But it propelled me to do this thing, to come live, to start a conversation, where I share things that I'm thinking about, that I'm learning about, that I'm having conversations with people about, and where I also want to invite some of my really, really cool, amazing friends to join me here, like on this live platform where we will have conversations about all these things that I'm literally having conversations with all of you in this disconnected way. And we're all dealing with so many of the same things. And so it has been something I've thought about for a long time, doing something like this, like a podcast or something. I remember years ago, I actually had a dream, and this is before I really knew him well, but I had this dream where me and Stefan Witherspoon were doing a podcast together. And this was 3 or 4 years ago, maybe, pre-pandemic. And I remember we connected right around that time, and he had a similar idea and was like, we should do this thing. We should have conversations. And I was scared. I was like, no, I don't think anyone wants to hear from me. I don't know. I don't feel great being in the limelight. Though I feel like I've gotten pretty good at it, with the work that I do, but I still get the butterflies and stuff in my stomach. And it feels uncomfortable to put yourself out there, especially in a way that I really want to do it, where it's real conversations about real things I'm dealing with, that we're dealing with together in a collective community way. And yeah, so it's been something I've thought about many, many times. I see many of my friends doing similar things. I think about my dear friend Diane, who is constantly going live and sharing her story and sharing encouraging, uplifting, wonderful stuff every time I get to tune into her, just sharing with us. I'm like, oh, I love this, the connection of it, right? Especially during COVID, especially when we're all so isolated, and especially when there's so much horrible, awful crap happening, every day, waking up to more headlines. It's hard to hold. It's hard to continue getting up every morning. It's hard to be a husband, a partner, a dad, a person who works 40 hours a week and then does community stuff. Pretty much those 40 hours plus more. It's a lot that we're all holding. And so anyways, here I am. I'm live. There's some of you watching. That's cool. I'm gonna have to get used to how to actually see who is watching and all of that, because that's cool that you're here, that you're taking a minute. So I have no real set agenda or name for this or plan. I just told Amy moments before going live, I was like, I constantly am gonna have these thoughts of doubt and reasons why I should not do this. And I'm sick of that. So this is not perfect. This is not rehearsed. This is not super, super planned. Though I am a type A person. So I do have very minimal notes about important things that I wanted to say. But yeah, just waking up, feeling mad, feeling worried, feeling frustrated about the situation happening in Texas and then so many other states, including our own here in Minnesota. These bills that are anti-trans, that are attacking trans kids, trans youth, trans families, parents who are supportive and affirming their children. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess for this first conversation, that's really what's on my mind, is what's happening down in Texas. And like I said, there are bills like in 30 plus states. And there are bills that have already passed in places nearby, like in South Dakota. Like I said, there's bills happening right now in Minnesota that, like, I don't actually know much about. And to be really honest, I don't know the whole situation in Texas, other than I woke up, I saw some Instagram posts that said that the governor of Texas has basically said that, like, Child Protective Services can and should start investigating parents of trans kids who are supporting their trans kids, who are helping them access trans-affirming healthcare. And so that was pretty terrifying. To think about these people in these places of authority that, I mean, these are people's lives. These are kids' lives. So yeah, I think that's my Papa Bear, like, mad for these kids. I'm mad at these people who have the audacity to come for our kids. And they're coming for us as well, for adults, grown-ups. Yeah, I'm mad, but I'm also worried. And so, you know, I roll over, I see all these Instagram posts. I'm like, oh shit. I'm going to be swearing on here as well, so sorry. That's just, I swear. Sorry, Mom, if you're watching this. But, yeah, I woke up, saw all this stuff. I walk out to the living room where Amy and Eleanor are awake and eating Fruit Loops on the ground and watching The Hungry Caterpillar on YouTube. And I was like, this thing is happening. And I'm feeling real mad, and this is how I'm starting my day, and sort of, we just talked about it a little bit, Amy and I, and I shared with her, I'm like, I just feel like I need to talk about this stuff. We need to be talking about these things more. You know, so went about our morning. I'm the daycare dropper-offer, so, you know, get Eleanor ready, drop her off at daycare. And I got home and just sort of reflecting and thinking, like, what do I do? What can I do for these kids in Texas, for these families all over the country, families here in Duluth who are struggling with, you know, finding safe and inclusive spaces for their own trans kids that they're trying to support. And my first thing was, I'm going to reach out to some of my people and just try to check in and just say, like, I'm not doing great. I don't feel great. And so I sent a message to some folks within my Trans Plus leadership with our team and just said, hey, I don't know what to do or how y'all are doing, but I just wanted to check in. I feel crappy. That's it. And even with, like, my closest people, like, sending a message like that feels really vulnerable and feels really scary, because it's like, I'm admitting that I'm not doing great, that I don't have answers, that I don't know what to do. And it could just be crickets. Like, no one could respond. Like, that is the thing that can happen. We're all busy. We all have stuff happening. Like, I don't expect everyone to drop what they're doing in this group chat and, like, respond. But yeah, I sent this message and I was just like, what do we do? How are y'all handling this? How are you feeling? And my friend Nick which this was what I needed, basically was like pointing me back to hope. And, shared a little bit about, more details about what's happening in Texas, which I'll probably go back and link some of these, like articles and stuff, just because I find it helpful to learn, because I think legislation stuff in particular is really confusing and like not meant for like everyday people to understand. So some of these resources are really helpful, I think. So I'll try to find that and share it. But, he basically was just like, look for the helpers, like, and was like, Mr. Rogers had this figured out, like, in these moments, look for the helpers. And so one of the things that he had shared with our group chat was that, there are already people there in Texas who are on the ground, who are, working on this legislatively, as well as working within communities to connect with those families, with the trans youth who need the support. And so that was beautiful to hear and to know. And he also shared that Lambda Legal, as well as the ACLU of Texas, are both like heavily invested in this fight there specifically. And for anyone who, any parent or family that is worried or, has someone investigating them or asking questions or making them feel uncomfortable, that is basically what they're encouraging folks to do, is to connect with Lambda Legal or to connect with the ACLU in Texas. And folks there are ready and willing to help and to support and advocate on behalf of those families and kids who are just trying to live their lives and stay alive. And yeah, that's hard anywhere, but I can't imagine how tough it would be in Texas. Which reminds me, I should have my friend Annalisa join me on one of these. She lives in Texas. Hey, Annalisa, if you're around. But yeah, so that, I don't know, that sort of redirect by Nick, thanks Nick, was super, super helpful for me. And then I also got to, right after, sending that message, I have a staff meeting every Thursday with my team at Menace Peacemakers, and nothing about our conversation was around this, was about Texas, was about, how to support trans kids and parents and whatnot. But again, at the end of that conversation, it was like people through various, means, basically like helping me reconnect and remember to like find the hope and to find the light in the situation. And so, yeah, I guess that's just some of the things that I was thinking about today. And I just did this thing that Amy says I do a lot. I make that sound. So sorry if any of y'all are noticing that as well. I'm starting to notice it too now that she pointed it out to me. But yeah, I guess I'm curious how y'all are thinking and feeling about this. If you know about what's happening in Texas, if any of you are familiar like with the bills that are happening here in Minnesota or in Wisconsin. Yeah, I would love to bring some of y'all in if you have stuff to share about that or thoughts. Because yeah, we gotta know what is happening, I think. And that is something that I struggle with. Like, the person that I am, I'm trying to raise a toddler, I'm trying to stay married in a pandemic, I'm trying to, continue getting paid to do a job that I have a lot of privilege in, that I love doing, as well as doing all of this community work. And so for me, I really struggle to stay on top of news And I have sort of made that intentional choice that, like, I'm not going to be listening to NPR constantly. I'm not going to be trying to keep up with all of the things, because I just can't hold it all. It's not good for my mental health. And so, you know, these little pieces that sort of flood in, especially when it comes to like the trans community and things happening there, I gotta be talking about it. I gotta be helping to educate folks and bringing those things forward, because we gotta do it ourselves. That's how our system is right now. Trans folks have to do it ourselves, because there aren't that many folks who are willing to step forward and talk about these things. So anyways, some of the things I'm listening to that I think are really helpful around this that I want to recommend to some of y'all are number one, which has been super, super helpful to me over the years, but it's a group called Translash, and they are a trans-owned, run, operated media company. I think they're based in New York or DC. I'm not even sure. But the main person who started Translash, her name is Amara Jones. She is a amazing, powerful Black trans woman who I don't even remember how I found Translash, years ago, but having those resources, hearing from Black trans women, especially about what's happening, has really, really helped me just grow in so many ways, in understanding of my own privilege as a trans person, but primarily a white trans person who is masculine presenting, who has so much privilege in this town and in this world. So they have, through Translash, a podcast. Actually, I think they have a couple podcasts. One of them for sure, though, is called the Anti-Trans Hate Machine. And they spend a lot of time digging into these anti-trans legislation campaigns that are happening all over the country in many, many states. So that is one I would definitely encourage you to check out, is Translash, Anti-Trans Hate Machine. And yeah, I don't know. I can't say enough good things about them, because not only are they explaining these horrible, hard things that are difficult to understand, and people who are not politicians are not going to be reading through these bills and trying to understand them, but just presenting that perspective and that experience, when I personally, I'm not really in relationships with Black trans people at this point in my life here locally. So being able to find places like Translash, other organizations that are trans owned and run, especially by trans folks of color, has been huge for me. So those are the resources that I'm going to continue to uplift and follow and learn from, because I really do think that we have to center the people on the margins of the margins, if our communities and our ways of life are ever going to actually improve and be safe and inclusive for all people and kids and elders and all of us. So anyways, my goal with these conversations, I got to check my little notes here, because I'm a talker. That's the other thing Amy said. She was like, you don't have any trouble getting on somewhere and talking about things that you care about or that you find interesting. And here I am doing that very thing. I didn't have a set time for how long I was going to talk, but yeah, my goal is to basically talk at you, and hopefully with some of you as well, and have real conversations about things that are going on with us. The ways that we are being challenged, and the crappy, awful stuff that we're trying to get through and to survive through, whether that's loneliness, whether that's having a toddler who won't stop biting people, Whether it's, you know, all of these things, right? There's so many things that each of us are struggling with. And there's a lot of beautiful connections that I've been able to experience when I share about these awful things. When I actually have the guts to say, I don't know how to parent my toddler right now. I don't know how to get her to understand that she's hurting people. And then for other people to be like, I get that, my kid's doing this thing, and I don't know what the heck to do with that. So yeah, I look forward to having conversations where we can like share the real stuff, where we can find the connections between us, because I really truly believe in my heart of hearts that we are all connected, that interconnectedness is like, if we can get to a place where we remember how to connect with our neighbors, with people in our community, with family members and friends, like what is possible? Like that makes me feel really, really hopeful. And like I said earlier, like I have to find the hope. I think we all have to find the hope, because sometimes it just feels like too much. My other goal is to educate and to try to help y'all understand some things that I'm learning about. But yeah, mostly I just want to connect with you all, to talk about the fact that all of us are connecting, even though like COVID has just changed our way of life so much. Yes. Oh, look, I can see comments now. Yes, Kia, there's hope. Even when it feels like it is lost. Yeah. So anyways, I have lots of love for all of you. Some of you I know much more, better than others. I know a lot of folks are connected to me through Trans Plus, and we may not know each other very well, but yeah, I would just love to hear what y'all want to hear about. I have so many ideas. I mean, all of the things that I am going through personally, whether it's, parenting stuff as a trans dad, marriage, relationship stuff in a pandemic, and how to somehow not get divorced, to trans issues, to patriarchy and healthy masculinity. Like, I want to be having those conversations because those are things that I care about. And so if you care about them too, please comment, share your ideas with me, because yeah, I like talking. We could do this a lot. And I just think a lot is possible when we do connect and we share and we put ourselves out there. So anyways, that might be a good spot for me to stop, to pause. But again, I would just encourage you to educate yourself today about what is happening in Texas, and try to think about a way that you could potentially provide some support or allyship to those folks, whether it's just sharing the information to try to educate other folks about what's happening. Reach out to people in Texas, if you have connections there, and yeah, if there are other ways that we can support, I'm hoping that as we learn those, we can continue to share them here, because yeah, there's a lot of kind, lovely, wonderful people in our community and beyond who, I don't know, are really powerful. So that's all for today, friends. And yeah, I hope that each of us today can find some time to take care of ourselves, because it's not easy surviving each day, each hour, moment sometimes over here with a screaming toddler who's napping, thank goodness. But anyways, yeah, try to find some time or something to do to take care of you today. I think, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna See, this is not easy. This is not easy for me to take care of myself. What am I going to do? I am going to take some time this evening to flip my phone over and not look at that. So I'm not going to respond to any of y'all or talk to any of you at some point tonight. And I think I'm going to find like a fun movie from my childhood to watch that I haven't seen in like a million years. Just something totally random. It's going to be like Land Before Time or something. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. That's what I'm going to do. So, yeah, I encourage y'all to think about what you might do to take care of you today. And check in with your trans friends and kids and people you know and let us know you love them. All right, y'all. Take care.